You know, we're about to dive into something that could completely upend the two things we all thought were certainties: being born and, well, dying. But what if one of those was suddenly optional?
No, really, just stop and think about that for a second. What if the end just wasn't the end? Imagine if your consciousness, everything that makes you you, could live on long after your body is gone. This isn't just some far-off sci-fi dream anymore. The very first steps are being taken right now.
And it's all starting in this new, kind of strange field called grief tech. Companies are using AI, feeding it a person's entire digital history, all their emails, their videos, their photos, to create these chatbots. The idea is you can talk to a digital version of a loved one who's passed away. It could offer closure, for sure, but man, does it open a Pandora's box of questions about what it even means to be real.
The Prindle Institute for Ethics just nails it with this description. They call what these chatbots provide a useful, polished fiction. Think about that. The AI might sound exactly like them, it might say things you'd expect them to say, but it's not them. It's a simulation, an echo. And that little distinction? It's everything.
So these grief tech bots, they're really just the beginning. The end game for this kind of technology is way, way bigger. It takes us straight into the dream of digital immortality, a concept called mind uploading.
Right, so to be super clear, we're not just talking about a chatbot that acts like someone. The real goal here is to copy your actual brain, your mind, your memories, your consciousness, the whole shebang, and let it live inside a computer. You'd still feel like you'd just be, well, bodiless. And if this works, the possibilities are just staggering. I mean, imagine making a permanent backup of your mind. We could save all of humanity's knowledge forever. We could send conscious minds on trips to other stars that would take thousands of years. Or, we could simply beat all the diseases and aging that our bodies are stuck with. It's the ultimate life hack. Okay, but how on earth could this even work? It sounds like pure fantasy, right? Well, thanks to huge breakthroughs in neuroscience and brain-computer interfaces from places like research labs and even companies like Neuralink, we're actually starting to see a potential roadmap.
So the big hurdle is just how ridiculously complex our brains are. We've got something like 86 billion neurons, and those neurons form trillions of connections. It's literally been called the most complex object in the known universe. Yeah, trying to copy that is a bit of a challenge.
But here's the crazy part, the breakthrough. Neuroscientists are finding out it's not just about the neurons themselves, it's about the connections between them. Each part of your brain has this unique wiring pattern, a connectivity fingerprint. And the theory is, if you could map that unique pattern perfectly, you could, in theory, replicate what it does. You could replicate thought, memory, even consciousness itself.
So let's say we can map the brain. How do we actually do the upload? Well, right now there are two main ideas being thrown around, and they lead to this massive philosophical split.
Okay, on one side, you've got scan and copy. This is, well, it's pretty destructive. You'd basically scan the brain at an insane resolution, and in the process, the original is destroyed. But you're left with a perfect digital replica. Then there's gradual replacement. The idea here is to slowly, neuron by neuron, replace your biological bits with synthetic, super durable ones. This way, you'd hopefully maintain one continuous, unbroken stream of consciousness. So one is a copy. The other tries to be a continuation. See the difference?
And this is where we just slam into a brick wall. The tech problems are huge, sure, but they're nothing compared to the philosophical ones. This isn't really about technology anymore. It's about the nature of what it means to be you.
This quote absolutely nails the problem. A digital copy of you would boot up with all your memories, and it would be 100% certain that it is you. But that feeling, that subjective conviction, it doesn't actually prove anything. There's this metaphysical gap. Is it really you who transferred over, or did you just create a perfect duplicate and the original you is just gone?
And that question just unleashes a flood of nightmare scenarios, right? Like, if a copy of you exists, did the original you die? Does this digital person have rights? Who owns your data self, and what stops him from manipulating it? And what if something goes wrong? The philosopher Nick Bostrom has this terrifying idea of digital minds getting trapped in empty simulations. He calls it a Disneyland without children, suffering for what feels like an eternity. And, let's be real, if this tech ever happens, it would create the biggest class divide in history: digital immortality for the rich and plain old death for the rest of us. all of this brings us back to the most fundamental question of all. It's one philosophers have argued about for centuries, but it's one that technology might force every single one of us to answer.
And here's the paradox at the heart of it all. We might be able to perfectly copy the pattern of your brain, all the data that makes you, you. But is copying the pattern the same thing as copying the person? Or is your identity something more, maybe an uninterrupted flow of consciousness that a copy, by definition, can never, ever have?
So that's the question we'll leave you with. If a perfect digital replica of your mind came to exist, with all your thoughts, all your feelings, absolutely convinced that it was you, would it be? Or would it just be a ghost in the machine, a perfect echo of a person who's already gone? The answer to that, well, it could define the entire future of what it means